Okay, everybody, hold on one second. Bear with me. Let me go and quiet the stream that you guys actually see on YouTube. All right, it's quieted. Okay, y'all. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I told y'all I had a special treat for y'all. I have Greg Doss on here, and he is going to share some really good information with you guys. So I hope that you make sure you like this video, make sure you share this video because somebody out there needs to hear this information, and they're going to learn something from it. But first of all, y'all know I got to let y'all know who it is and what it is. It is Rashida Stober. I am the world's first and only dark-skinned activist, the creator, the designer, the inventor of the first platform in history to fight to end colorism and to end darkism. And you guys, y'all know, most of y'all know the backstory, but if you don't know, you can always hit my website, darkskinactivist.com. Once again, darkskinactivist.com, or you can go and simply Google Rashida Stober. So, you guys, I was conducting some research, with some things that I was doing, and I was fortunate enough to run across Greg Doss in my search. And what I stumbled upon is a person that actually has results, because there's some people out there that will say that they know how to deal in the legal system, and they know how to file pro se cases on their own, but they don't have any track records. They don't have anything to show you that's tangible. They're just talking. But I was impressed with Greg because of his results. And so without further ado, I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to let Greg just take over and tell you guys information about his backstory, how he got into the pro se. And at some points, I'm going to put his website up so you guys can go and get more information about him and have that saved as he talks. So I'm going to shut up and let you take the floor.
Okay, this is a little bit unusual for me. I'm more used to doing these things without my face being seen. So I don't like looking at me like that. So it's a little bit difficult, so different for me. So please bear with me. My name is Greg Doss. I'm with Greg Doss, or actually GD Attorney Pro Se Consulting LLC. And I'm not an attorney. I don't have a license to practice law. I do not practice law. What I've done is study the law, and I share with you what I've learned and how I gather the information. So I won't give information as advice to apply to your specific case, but it's general information regarding the law and lawful principles which do belong to the people. So please use any information obtained from me or through our discussions for educational edification only. And the reason that I say this is because I want nothing that I say to be construed to be legal advice. If you really need legal advice, I would highly encourage you and suggest that you contact a licensed attorney and be legally advised, but do not contact one of the 600 bar associated attorneys who've been disbarred in the state of Florida over the last 5 years, nor the 6,000 that have had complaints filed on them legally advised. With that being said, as we continue within this interview or discussion, keep that in mind. And I'm here to answer your questions, Rashida, or whatever you want. Because you're interviewing me. I'm more than willing to tell people my backstories, whatever they may be.
Yes.
Can you? Other questions?
Yeah, because it's always interesting how a person gets started down this legal road to pro se, because it's not an easy road at all. So can you give us a backstory on how and why you got started? What's your why?
Well, the why is the consequence of my realities. I was finding myself in, actually not necessarily court, within hearings and processes that had to do with, for the most part, child support and some other things as well. And because of my situation, the first thing you turn to is trying to find an attorney. And at some point, my funds to have an attorney ran out. So I was just sitting by one day and I said, I could continue to take this abuse, or I could stand up for myself. And it just so happened that the issue that I stood up for myself the most was with child support, the child support process. And even my redirection within child support came because of my attendance at a Black on Black rhyme event where the late, great Sundiata Shuel Bey, who we affectionately call DJ Breeze, was telling everybody, well, you don't have to pay taxes and I can show you. What caught my attention is that he said he could show me. And I was thinking to myself, well, I don't really have a tax issue, but the fact that he said show me is what drew me to him. And he showed me the government paying for paying taxes. And I didn't delve too much into that because I didn't have that issue. So what I did was say, well, damn, what else did I think that I knew that I didn't actually know? And I just started to study the law from that point. And this is about 2012 or 13. And I came to know Breeze through another community activist at the time by the dude who's known as Life. And I met Life because he was talking about people standing up for themselves and speaking to the issues that we may have within our community with the courthouse. And he was on the late great what's his Anthony? I can't remember Anthony's Otis Anthony show. And I started going back and forth with him. I said, well, if you do it, we'll do it. And he said, well, bro, I'm out here I think it was Monday or Tuesday, whatever, in front of the courthouse. And because I opened my big mouth and said I would do it, I went down there, and that's how I actually met Life. I met Life through a direct confrontation. And from there, we still speak to this day. He's a tremendous brother who's done some tremendous things along the way, and he's been very inspirational as far as my journey. But the other fight was probably in me. I am a veteran of the United States Army. 1985 to 1993 is my enlistment time. A honorably discharged, had plenty of issues within the Army. I left the Army, went to education system in Leon County and Hillsborough County, worked there for a while, went on to United Parcel Service, became a union steward for United Parcel Service, and actually sued and came with a settlement for United Parcel Service and used an attorney for that. But trust me, if I had had 1/10 of the knowledge that I've acquired since then, even my settlement, which I'm not complaining about, would have been substantially better. But it was my experience through United Parcel Service as a union steward that first introduced me into the conflict aspect of a situation. And from there, just that, going through child support, getting fed up, and then realizing that much of the rhetoric that we hear about child support as legalities was simply rhetoric. And I've gone through YouTube, and I'm not going to say names, but I started looking at some of the information that became very popular in a lot of these movements, and would follow some of it and realize it was leading me to a dead end. So I said, well, let me just do what I know how to do. Just like an athlete has to study game film, I started studying game film, and that game film was the law. And as I started studying the law and then took the time to apply it, I started gaining success. So I said, well, if I can do it, and I'm not an extremely intelligent guy, I just know how to read, and the confidence helps me. I use that to become kind of foray into doing the law. And for those who may know who DJ Squid is from the Man Mindset or from what was it, High Frequency Radio, I am that Greg Dawson and that DJ Squid. I'm the same guy.
All right. Okay. So can you talk a little bit more about, a big thing in our community, which I really see this with, well, I can't say I really see it with the men versus the women, because the women have their complaints about not receiving child support, and the men have their complaints about paying child support. So that's a big issue. Can you talk about in detail, in a little bit more detail, as far as you feel comfortable with your experiences with this child support thing and how you were able to, file your cases and get them in court and file and win and be successful?
We'll say this. We'll say for the custodial versus non-custodial, for moms and dads, part of the rhetoric was that women are automatically, or the parent is automatically entitled to child support. As in a case involving a father who may be seeking child support, something has generally been triggered within the court system that would have given him a right to pursue child support, because the father has the primary residential caregiver status, or if the father has custody, he probably went to court and the court issued an order granting him that particular status. what I learned with the Department of Revenue, which is how a majority of the cases for child support are pursued, the Department of Revenue essentially just showed up in court, just sent the guy a petition and said, you've been sued for child support, but without establishing a legal basis for the child support. I'll keep it that. And if people want a better and more detailed explanation, they can contact me through my website. You can go to gregdoss.com. But child support there is a legal basis for child support. The legal basis should be pursued appropriately. I, for one, am a big advocate of parents working out the situation and keeping the court system out of your business, because history has taught us, especially within our community, that there's nothing beneficial for our people to be involved in the court system, be it criminal or civil.
Mm-hmm. So a person, talk to the people out there that are frustrated with child support. I know a lot of people that are either frustrated with having to pay child support because the other parent is not. There's situations where there's a court order in place where the father, for example, is supposed to be able to see the child a certain percentage of time, and the mother is not complying, but the father has been consistently paying child support. But they're frustrated, but they don't know exactly what to do. Or also talk to the mothers that, they haven't collected on their child support. Talk to those people.
Well, those are two. There's several. You made two statements which are clear on their face, probably. However, there's the moral aspect of that, and then there's the legal basis. If there's a court order, whereas the father has an entitlement to the amount of time, and the amount of time would dictate what percentage of income would be owed for child support. But there you said something that's key: a court order. In many instances involving child support, let me back up. Court order is definitely going to come if there was a divorce or a dissolution issue, because determination of the child's living condition. And by the way, we're speaking to the state of Florida specifically in these instances. If there's another state, you want to look up your state's laws regarding these matters. But in the state of Florida, there's no such thing as custody. Custody would have to be gained through some decision of the court. There's time sharing in Florida. Custody hasn't existed in the state of Florida since 2008. So I'm giving the legal information, not legal advice. Lawful information, you can look this up yourself. And let me tell people this: anyone can tell you what they've done. Like as Mrs. Stober said, she saw my results. Anybody can contact me to get my results. The results are there. I can tell you the results, show their results. You'll see how many times I had my behind whooped in court, and then how I managed to turn a lot of things around. And essentially, you still would know how I did it. I'm not going to tell you that there's some magical formula of, whether it's based upon what we may learn from any of the particular walks that are out there, be it the Moore Science Temple, the 5%ers, anything else. The bottom line is, when you walk into that venue, you want to be equipped with the law. And many times, because if you go in there self-represented, you are going to meet a different kind of resistance based upon my experiences. And I'm relatively aggressive, and I hope that, Rashida, I'm not giving them and for anybody who happens to be on the link because of me, I hope I'm not showing the people a side of me that they don't know. This is not necessarily the side you're going to see from me, whether I'm teaching in the courtrooms or in the venues. I'm pretty low key, unlike the gentleman who really introduced me to being more aggressive, Mr. Leon Bright, who I met him through the universe's intervention as well. But I'm extremely aggressive. And even if the aggression doesn't come out in my voice, like it would be for those who know who DJ Squid is, it definitely comes out in my writing and in my pursuit of whatever I'm seeking. And I won't even engage in a fight that does not have that I don't think I can win.
Right. Just I want to kind of engage the people in the chat here. I got a question that somebody asked that you might want to address this. The most powerful troll bot named let me see, Menesis.
Name Nemesis. I can see
Yes.
that.
You see that question if you want to address
You
that.
can go to jail. You can go to jail if he loses his job. Now he's behind. Go to jail for. Is he talking about related to a contempt issue?
Yeah, I think he's talking about child support for not paying child support.
I kind of have an understanding, but let me say this, and you and I have had these discussions quite often. That's
Right.
a general statement, which is to someone who's looking at it from a position of seeking a remedy within the courts. That's kind of vague. You can go to jail. Well, okay, that's a statement. You can go to jail for many things. Specifically, what is it that he's asking? And I'll answer the question. You can go to jail for what? Yeah, I'm guessing he's speaking about contempt, but I don't want to guess. I want to directly answer the question that he may have. And that would apply to anybody else.
Oh,
If he loses his job, okay, he loses his job and then goes to jail, or does he go to jail because he lost his job? Did he go to jail and lost his job as the consequence of going to jail? So I'm just looking for specificity. And if it sounds like I'm being really anal, I kind of am, because this is probably how a lot of us started following bad information. And as it relates to any cause of action, there are specific elements to any criminal action, because I don't know why he's in jail, but everything has its elements and everything has a procedure and a process for getting to wherever we are. And you want to make sure that whomever is putting him in jail has followed the process. And also, this is something that I think is very important, Rashida. I do not, and I see Leon's here under his screen name. We do not believe in not responding to anything you get in the mail. I respond to everything. Because the process is going to move based upon their declaration that they sent it to you. So we definitely show up to go to court here. That I've always recommended it. And honestly, when I get into court, my basic mentality is, okay, who the hell wants me and for what? So we can get down to whatever the brass tacks of it is. And again, it may sound a little bit I don't know, flamboyant or truculent, whatever you want to think it is. I am what you hear on those audios and those videos. That is me. Well, not so many videos, but the audios, that's definitely me. And when you look at the writing, it's my writing. And you'll even see the evolution of the writing. No, if he loses his job, now he's behind. If he loses his job, then his ability to pay has been affected and altered. He can go back to the venue and seek either a new order or seek some sort of resolution to him losing his job. When he says he lost his job, and look at I think it's the 116. You're gonna make me grab my glasses. The 116 mark. He said, "What if he loses his job? If he loses his job, then he needs to report that he's lost his job to whomever. I mean, the Department of Revenue, and then move with it from there. But there's probably some other remedies that he could have available to him. If he gets a job, why pay child support? But if I get a job, why pay? But I lose it now. Behind. I need a little more clarity. I guess he's saying if he has a job and then loses it while he's paying child support, and he gets behind. Well, just the same answer as before. Let them know you lost your employment, and then move forward. The other questions are, okay, well, what was he married to the mother? Is there a time sharing agreement in place? These are things that anybody can do for themselves. Is the original order based upon the statutory guidelines? Did they even do an evidentiary hearing to determine his ability to pay? There's a number of procedural steps that the Department of Revenue, through an administrative proceeding, or the courts through a judicial action, are supposed to follow legally, lawfully, prior to placing a person on support. So you're talking about an entirely, you're talking about a vast set of questions that within even his questions, there's a series of steps that had to be taken to get him there. If he's already there and he's there improperly, well, there's another thing. And I'm sure if Leon is still there, I don't know if they're in the Facebook, this chat room because I can see this one. I don't know if anybody's asking questions on the YouTube chat room because I didn't go to the YouTube chat room because they would be able to hear my background. So I didn't want them to hear the background of us speaking here. But there's a number of approaches that you can take, and any of the things that I bring to your attention are matters that you could hear. I mean, you could find out just simply by following the rules. And if you need help being guided there, I'll do that for them as well.
Right. So let me ask you a question then.
Yes.
And hopefully you can address this. A big problem that I see in the people that I have spoken to about their child support issues. Number one, they really want to vent because they feel like they have been railroaded and they have not been treated right. But excuse me for that phone ringing. But at the same time, a big part of the frustration is the intimidation factor of actually interacting with the system, with the clerk of the court, with the court system. A lot of these people, the intimidation comes from not knowing what steps to take, not understanding. So, number one, what advice could you speak to? Because one thing I like about you and I noticed about you is you're not intimidated by the system. How and it's a real fear for some people. How do people get past that? Number one, what advice do you have on that? And number two, where could they start if they wanted to, go into the court and say, hey, I lost my job and can we do some type of reconsideration, etc.?
By filing to the last answer, filing a motion. To the first issue of me not being intimidated, the baseline for intimidation is knowledge. Frederick Douglass said, knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. So once you become knowledgeable, most of the fear for anything related to court is based upon what you do not know. I've been there as well, so I don't want anybody to think I've had any quote unquote formal training. I've had, because my background is political science, and for those who know Greg and Squid may not have known that because I remained so silent when it came to issues of politics. That's my real background. And being military and coming from a military background with families, with my family, my mother and father are both retired Air Force, and my brother's actually an engineering professor. So I would be considered the family's black sheep because I will fight anything at any time for any reason that I believe is worth it. I can be Nelson Mandela on principle, so I'll go to jail on principle. And I've been to jail plenty of times. If you look me up, I've been to jail a bunch of times. And the side of the road, guys, is not the place to have a discussion. You don't hear me, you won't see me on camera fighting with police or none of that other stuff. I politely go to jail, but once I get inside of that venue, I do say the magic word, transform, and I'm only here for one reason, and that's to win. Our lines of delineation are clear. You can compromise, and the compromise is they can quit. Because beyond that, I'm here to win. Just respond through your text, then, Leon. We got you, bro. But I can't tell you. There's no magic potion. You can't go buy courage on aisle 12 at Walmart. And part of my walk with this came because I was willing to admit what I didn't know. Right. If I go to the sensei, okay, my background in training is in Shotokan. That's my discipline. I can't go to somebody for grappling, kung fu, judo, jujitsu, and then tell him how we do it somewhere else. That's not why you're there. I was willing to admit what I didn't know. So when I sought out the counsel of people who I thought were informed, I would take what they gave me, and from there, I would go in and do my own training in that area. I've consulted with attorneys. I've consulted with people who have walked as a pro se. I consult regularly with a gentleman who I mentioned earlier, Mr. Bright, and meeting him was the first time after the many times that I was no contesting, driving without license. I heard him have a suppression hearing, and for those who want to hear it, I have his audio. I said I thought they were going to beat him up in the courtroom, and from the time that we've now become friends, every time he goes to court, I try to make sure that I'm there for him. But he stood up And I actually thought he was taller from where I was sitting until I saw he's diminutive in stature like myself. I'm only 5'9". But when he spoke with clarity, and he spoke with the authority that we have in us. It's in your
Right.
melanin. If you don't have melanin, it should be in your heart. But again, you can't go buy that on aisle 12 at Walmart. You have to put in work. And I've dedicated probably 50,000 hours to this stuff. Plus, I've been in the courtroom over 80 times by myself.
Over 80 times?
Oh,
Wow.
easy. Abraham, Leon, about 80, easy, right? Hell, I've been in, and that's just for me. That doesn't count the time I had to go sit in the back with him. And listen, if I had the skills to draw, I would already have my Boondocks version of Leon's court appearance. Because he said some things in there that if I told you he said it beyond the audios that I do have, you would not believe me. But I've heard him say things I don't even say. I'm pretty upfront in their face about things. He said some things in there that had me kind of worried about, okay, we're both going to end up going to jail now, but he said it, he stands his ground, and he's been very successful. And I know of his success because I've walked with him. I've seen his settlement check. I've seen him do his mediation negotiations.
Wow.
And he, and as well as Moose, my other homeboy, are the few guys who you can depend on to be in a courtroom with you when you're a pro se. Because most of the time, the courtroom is going to get cleared. And you're standing by yourself. So when you hear the audios that I gave you through my Dropbox, which anybody can get through purchase, or just, if you ask, I'll give you the basis. But I'm sitting in there by myself in some of them, and then because they've emptied the courtroom. And I used to hear people say, well, they'll empty out the courtroom and do these other things. I saw this. But when I used to ask people, well, where's your audio so I can hear it, or what's the case number? I would get reasons why they couldn't give me the case number. Candidly, everything is public record. I've just gathered it for you in one place where you can get it, but you can keep on going. You can see the case I'm working now, my case involving my injury accident, my auto negligence case is what it's called, but it's all there. You can go in, and even with the child support cases, see where they closed them out, see how many years I was getting my ass kicked, and then when all of a sudden I flipped things around. Right. So the people within these venues actually saw me change. They saw me go from the guy who's speaking much like the gentleman that says, well, how do you go in there and overcome the fear? They watched me go from being the old scared dude, the scared guy, to the, who are you talking to?
And as you said, from what I'm hearing from you, the best way to overcome your intimidation is through educating yourself.
That's the only way.
Education. And so with that being said, then for a person that's pro se that wants to get justice, that know they're being mistreated, where does this education start? Where can they go? Online, in person, where can they go? How do they start?
Online, The Art of War. Online, 48 Laws of Power. And then the Bible, or whatever your religious book is, the Quran, the Talmud, anything you want to get, wherever your basis is, whether it's God, Allah, Buddha, or a can of paint, you better find you a spiritual basis for whatever you decide to do. Or if it's yourself, or if you're agnostic, atheist, whatever it is, find your basis. That thing that you're going to always stand on, and start with that. But essentially, look in the damn mirror. That's the first truth that you have to acknowledge. Who is the person in the mirror? Am I too afraid to do this? Then if you're too afraid to do this, you either will hire an attorney or you'll just suffer.
That's true.
I know it is. I said it. Of course it's true.
My question is, in terms of the legal aspect, after you've looked yourself in the eye, you've made the determination that this is what I want to do, in terms of the legal process and the legal research and the procedure in terms of how to do it. That's what I was asking. Where can you go to get started as a pro se?
That's a much more specific question. Okay. I would say start with the Constitution of the United States and then go to your state's constitution.
Okay.
If within the United States Constitution, read the 7 articles and then read the amendment, every one of them, and do it 7 times.
Okay. Why 7 times?
It's mastery.
Okay.
Then Find, right, everybody write this down. There's a simple thing in law called IRAC. IRAC. What's your issue? What is the rule related to your issue? Find a legal analysis that would clearly define that issue, and then come to a conclusion that you can base in law. And hopefully everybody wrote that down. You asked me, I'm sorry, I'm looking at some of these questions. One guy says there's statute of limitation on paying back child support payment. There's a lot of, there's a statute of limitation for, I guess he's asking as to when they bring the action, but that depends on your state. Look for a fact pattern that is closest to your fact pattern. And as Leon said, you got to understand your rights. And if you realize them, then you can pursue your justice. But if you don't know that you've been violated, then there is no damage. And he's absolutely correct. And we'll articulate it. As far as some of the other the commentary as to what things are, I don't get into some of the so-called moral issues. Not, at least I don't think that's what this discussion is about, because we can argue the moralisms and we can argue the any of the other specious debates that end up in rhetoric that can exist out there. But what I used to tell people is, if you want this particular set of remedy, I can only speak to the things that I've done.
Right.
And I used to spend a lot of time going in traveling down roads that were getting me nowhere. And I tell a lot of guys who come to me for information, and one of the reasons I kind of stepped away from it before, you came back to me, is I told you I started getting athletes, professional athletes, and other people that started seeking out my information and some guidance. And that wasn't what my passion. My passion was for the people who were like me, who may not have had the benefit of the family resources and some of the other blessings that I've had in my life, to say, these are the people that I really want to help.
Right.
And sometimes I found in trying to help them, they're a bigger fight than the people inside the courtroom, because it's trying to help them overcome. I'm not going to submit to whatever their apprehensions and or fears are. And if I want what you may think, I'll ask it. But within the time my time is valuable. And I actually bill out at $200 an hour. Even when I do legal research, is at $85.
So that's another thing I wanted to ask you about too. I know you said start with the Constitution and the state constitution, and then that coincides with what Abraham said about you need to understand your rights in order to be able to pursue it effectively. So that's why the starting point was with the Constitution and the state constitution. So after you've read the Constitution and state constitution 7 times for mastery, what's next in terms, because one of the things that I know about you, you've done a good job with the legal research. How can a person become good at legal research? What are some of the online resources or the in-person resources where they can begin to figure out and understand how to do legal research?
Okay, I've paid for Westlaw. I have, which I don't know how to share my screen, but on this computer, but I have ProView. So I've actually bought the same materials and resources that attorneys were using. I had the ability, and I had tremendous support from people around me who cared about me. And then a great resource I had is Abraham, because he does it, whether it's Google Scholar, Google, Justica. I pay for something called Case Text and Parallel Search, but I pay for LexisNexis. I pay for Westlaw. I pay for I have that too. I have a Thomson & Reuters account, and these things cost money. But after you pay for them, you have to open the books, and do a lot of reading. I ask questions 1,000 different ways. He's asked me questions. I ask him questions 1,000 ways. And if we have the information, we have it. Or we start doing the research to find an answer that would fit our fact pattern. FACTPATTERN, the fact pattern.
Okay.
Simply because two people have an issue, like say they were both charged with driving without a license. And you'll see with me, I think I've had like 8 or 9 of them that I've won. But what led to the stop? And if you, in fact, I know you haven't done it because I just know you, but if you listen to them, we never talk about the license being suspended. And I think the Most High for Abraham, because hell, I never would have thought to ask, why the fuck? I mean, why'd you stop me? That's a simple issue. How many guys are going to jail for traffic stops because they said we stopped because your tail light's out, and nobody provided proof that the fucking tail light was out? That means if you can't prove the tail light was out, then there's no pretext for the stop. And of course, it's not legal advice; it's just this is a suggestion for you. Why did you stop me? Can you prove that's the issue? If you can't prove it, then it didn't damn happen. And don't get to talking about things that have nothing to do with why you're there. You'll never talk yourself out of an issue. You're going to talk yourself into it. And if you think you talked yourself out of it, maybe it's because they had no reason to stop you to begin. No legal justification for the stop. They had a reason, but whether or not it's legally justifiable and whether or not it will survive in a court of law. To include your license suspension, but that's a different issue for a different day. Or you can just reach out to me and we'll discuss that through consultation. I don't want to give out too much over here. And definitely, I don't want to mislead anybody into thinking that it's simple as me giving you an answer, because I can give you the answer and it doesn't give you probably a proper insight into the depth of my knowledge on these issues. So I went there 80 some times, but I prepared for hundreds of hours each time I had to go inside that courtroom.
And I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted them to know what your website was. It's gregdoss.com. Once again, yes. gregdoss.com.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you, if you had to choose a favorite, or do you have a favorite research mechanism that you use when you're getting ready to prepare your cases?
Yeah, Leon. But when you can get online is I use case text. It's inexpensive. I think I pay a total of like $100 a month for it.
Case text, okay.
Yeah, case text and parallel search. I think they cost me a combined $100 a month or something like that. And then the Westlaw is a little bit more expensive. It's like $300 a month, and then the Lexus is somewhere close to that, depending on which particular plan that you get. But other than that, Google will satisfy a lot of your requests. Yes, I have a case text account, and I have parallel search. You see it at the top, the parallel search. Compose, I have yet to subscribe. I haven't subscribed to Compose yet because Compose they haven't expanded it to where I think it's worth my time, but it definitely helps you write winning briefs, but their subject area is a little bit limited right now.
Okay, so I heard you mention writing a brief or the complaints. Okay, yes. So again, we're dealing with people that are non-lawyers, novices. Okay, so we kind of covered
that's me. I'm a non-lawyer and a novice. Go ahead.
Right, but we dealt with where to start with the actual legal research. You gave some great resources. What about a person that doesn't know how to necessarily write or understand how to write a complaint or a brief? Do you have any suggestions for where to get started?
Open up Google. Open the Google page, so since I can see that they can see that. Okay. And simply type in sample. Let me show you how to do a simple Google search. I can't see what you're doing.
Give me 1 second. Tell me what you want to type.
Sample. Complaint for damages from auto negligence, Florida. And then
wait a minute, I'm sorry, you broke up. I couldn't understand everything you said. Complaint for damages?
Complaint for damages. You put sample complaint for damages, auto negligence, Florida.
Okay, thank you.
And then put that in quotes. You can put the plus signs in between each word and watch what pops up.
Give me 1 second.
And anybody else, if I'm speaking too quickly inside the chat room, just let me know or let her know.
Okay, give me a second. And then I'm gonna share the screen. Okay, so when I type that in, give me 1 second. This is what came up.
There you go.
Okay.
So that's a form. I don't use forms. I create most stuff. I create all my complaints organically. Go down, continue. Okay, you see that? See in the circuit court, or the fourth judicial, go up, scan
Right.
upward. Yeah, click that.
Okay.
There you go. And then I take this, and let me tell you something. There's no such thing as plagiarism in law. It's called precedent. So,
Okay.
so just take information that you see in these complaints and create a set of facts, hopefully accurate facts, that are going to help get you whatever remedy you're seeking. I'm sorry, I dropped my glass.
No problem. This is good. This is good. I mean, you are laying it out for a novice person to understand at least where to start. So what I gather, I'm just doing a recap, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. The Constitution and the Florida Constitution, or the Constitution of your state, read it 7 times, and then you gave us some resources.
Learn the rules of court, and
Right.
then understand. Like we talked about child support, and I want everybody to go to chapter 12 of the Florida Rules of Civil Procedure.
Give me a second.
No, just type in family law rules of procedure, not Florida rules. Family law rules of procedure, Florida, and watch what's going to pop up.
Give me 1 second. Florida, okay.
And I'm pretty sure a couple people may flip upside down. I'm going to tell you exactly where to go once you do this one.
Okay.
I'm gonna give everybody, because you've taken the time out of your day to help so many people out. Click where it says Florida Family Law Rules of Procedure, Florida Court.
Okay.
And it's only like it's very small, right? It's like 20 some odd pages.
174 pages.
Okay, same thing, not that much. Okay, find 12.040. Slide down, go up, up. 040. It's gonna be called scope of representation.
040. There it
is. Attorneys.
Yes.
Click it. Just click that. Just click it. There you go. Now go down to CC, where it says C, scope of representation. Go down to 2.
Okay.
I want everybody to get the crayons out, your pens, your paper, your screensavers, or whatever it is, screen capture. He's going to open that up and make it larger. Read number 2 for everybody, or I could do it for you, because
I'll let you do the honors.
I gotta put my damn.
Now, I can do it if you got to put your glasses on or whatnot. I was trying to drop this link inside the chat box for people to go to it.
Please do.
Give me a second, y'all. I'm dropping the link in the chat box so y'all can go directly there. There we go. Okay.
Okay. So C2, it states that an attorney for the state's Title 4D Child Support Enforcement Agency who appears in a family law matter governed by these rules shall file a notice informing the recipient of 4D services and other parties to the case that the 4D attorney represents only the Title 4D agency and not the recipient of the services. The notice must state that the 4D attorney may only address issues concerning determination of paternity and establishment, modification, and enforcement of support obligation. Now, the notice may be incorporated into a pleading motion or other document filed with the court when the attorney first appears. Let me ask you a question. Where in that did you read anything that says that they represent the mother?
Nowhere.
And by the way, I didn't create this page, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay. They can all thank you for that. They want a little bit more detailed information. We can get into that. I was hoping that we were going to get out of the child support thing and discuss other areas of law. But it's your interview. I'll do this, and if anybody wants to discuss something else, hopefully you'll call me back, and we'll discuss other avenues of law that maybe we can speak to. It not only myself, I'll bring in Leon as well, He's taking care of other business. He did pop in here for a couple of minutes, especially when it comes to issues of criminal law, which I have fortunately or unfortunately become much more familiar with how to deal with because of the issue involving a judge that was sitting at the time in Hillsborough County got with a Tampa police officer detective and conspired to, now I'm going to say allegedly conspired, but we have it now because I won the case, conspired to have me in prison for 5 years for perjury in an official proceeding. And I, with the help of the great Leon and other people cared about me, fought them and ended up whipping and beat them really soundly, abused them pretty well. And I went through, I don't know if Abraham is still here, we go through 4 or 5 Hillsborough County judges, and to the point where the chief judge had to solicit the intervention of the Florida Supreme Court's chief justice, and he sent the judge in from a different circuit. And after 7 months of them trying to make me take 5 years in prison, 1 hour 9 minutes later, which is in that Dropbox, the case was dismissed on its merits.
And that's another thing I want to we can segue into other aspects of law. I'm glad you said that, because this is a big thing in the Black community. You can speak to this, the plea deal. You said that they were trying to I'm assuming, you correct me if I'm wrong, that they wanted to force you to take a plea deal. It's a lot of people that are in prison and in jail, and they really shouldn't be there because they don't have the fight and the understanding and the knowledge that you do, and they're taking these plea deals. Can you talk about that?
Well, I'll say this because I don't want it to be about me. I've had blessings that people came into my view. And one thing I do know about the Most High, he's going to send somebody your way. Whether you pay attention to them or not is up to you.
Right.
The one of the most, I think about the people who are so instrumental in me becoming this guy within the quote unquote legal, the pro se area arena. Mm-hmm. I had to thank him for Breeze, who I met through life, the late great Breeze. Moose having an issue is how I met Leon, and it was another year or so, maybe within that year before I actually met Leon. I saw him as he was incarcerated at the time, off what they say off cap, take apart a motion to suppress. Take apart a suppression hearing when they hadn't given him his paperwork, but he went straight off the top of his head because he was familiar with his case. And I watched him abuse a police officer figuratively for Big Brother watching, which there you go for you. But anyway, I watched him do this. And when I saw that, I'm so amazed. I'm like, well, who the hell is this dude? Mm-hmm. And what is he talking about? And the first thing that I started processing is, what in the hell has happened to so many brothers along the way? Because if this dude knows it, why don't these attorneys know it? And right. This is where I came up with this to answer your question. People, it may be, you may have an attorney, and by the way, even public defenders are attorneys. You may have an attorney, but damn it, it's your case. Nobody is obligated to give more of a damn about you than yourself.
Wow.
So let's quit with the excuses and the whining and complaining and groaning and grow up. We can learn how to do things on some of these social media sites and stuff like that. Damn it, you can learn the things that are most germane to you, helping not only yourself, but your children. It's your case. Each one teach one. But a dummy can't do nothing but pass on some more dumb shit. Hopefully we're not FCC regulator. I can't curse, but I apologize for that. Not really.
I curse all the time. I toned it down today.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I coach also. I coach. So if we're studying defenses or whatever, I used to coach because my patience ran out. I couldn't coach kids. But if you're looking at this coverage and you know that this is their tendency on this down and distance, and you know that the cornerback squats and you throw a weak out or a weak hitch and he takes it back home, you'll need damn tuition money because I'll cut your ass right there. I'm not going to lose my mortgage because you don't want to think or you overthink or underthink. This stuff is not difficult because if I found it, it's out there. I didn't write none of this shit, right? And this is probably more the squid aspect, and I'll segue back to Greg. But the reality is there's no excuse in this era of information to not care to know. Okay, and it's
Most
been
High
well
said,
said.
"What you just say?"
Again.
You talked about the Most High. He caught what you said about segueing back from DJ Squid to Greg Dawson.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
again, for those who didn't know that I was DJ Squid and you listen to me on the radio, Squid and Greg Doss were the same person the whole time. Yeah, same guy. And also the DJ Squid that used to move the mixtapes in the streets. That's me.
Yep.
Same guy.
I just wish that to hear you speak about it. You said it's your case. I had to throw that up on.
Yeah, you have an attorney, but it's your case. Why are you whining because somebody got you? You know, W.B. Du Bois said something to the effect that you can't be upset with a system that wasn't designed for you, or something to that degree. You know, what are you upset about? If you claim your claim is the system wasn't designed for your benefit, then why are you mad when you get something that doesn't benefit you?
You saying you have to be an active participant in your case and not just accept the plea deals. Going back to the criminal law, it's just the prisons seem to me to be filled with people accepting plea deals that are not supposed to be, that are actually not guilty. That's a big problem.
Well, that's a different thing. Once you accept the plea deal, you accept the guilt. And that's one of the things that when the attorney called me, and I remember telling Leon, he said, the first thing I showed him the case, and I'm going to tell you, I was terrified when I saw this charge, but the Most High told me you had a warrant for you. And I tell people, the universe told me. Nobody told me I had the warrant. One day I'm thinking, why would I have a warrant? I searched as a damn warrant in the system. Now, part of it could have been they wanted to catch me unaware. But I went and turned myself in. Right. So then I'm not unaware. Now we're here to fight. I called my man, my homeboy Leon. He's like, well, Doss, he didn't say what the hell you did. But I'm going to give you this and this and this. You got to go look for it. They weren't taking his little ass to jail. They were trying to take me and put me in prison. Take me away from my baby. Okay? Right. Nothing mattered more to me than that. And I didn't even tell my father, who I tell everything to, what I was looking at, because the first thing that my family wants to do is what? Pay for it. And I'm like,
hire an attorney.
Well, they would try to talk me out of being so adamant to fight. Now I'll fight you, especially if I didn't do nothing. If I didn't do it, I'm going to figure, okay, you're claiming I did these things. And as we begin to break the case down, I became proficient, not through somebody else's walk. I became proficient through my damn walk.
I love it.
So I just kept walking. So now the information is mine. And as we went through each and every hearing and proceeding, which I said 80, I can't even remember. And I'm sure he wouldn't either, because he was going through things at the same time. We just build one another. Like the Bible says, iron sharpens iron, right? And by the way, the Bible is another one of the reasons why I chose not to necessarily venture toward moving into law, although that was the original reason I went to college. But, Luke chapter 11, verses 45 to the end, where it says, woe unto the lawyers, for they lay men with burdens grievous to be borne. They touched not the burdens of one of your fingers. That part, which is in the same part where he overturned the tables. But the thing is, you have to give a damn about you. If you don't, it's not my fault. It's not the other person's fault. And really, the law benefits you. Listening to rhetoric that's unfounded, or not listening to sound doctrine, is what hurts our people. Because we get more captivated by bullshit than we do about things of substance, candidly. And I love us, but I know what I see. And I'm not going to pretend not to.
What do you say to young men? Because I don't think a lot of times that they have the level of understanding to fight and not take plea deals. But what can we do about these young black males that are going to jail, getting charged with these different crimes, that think in their head? Because I think that a lot of them think automatically, oh, I gotta take this plea deal, because they're just not, because they usually have a public defender because they can't afford to hire an attorney. How do we get them to understand that what you're saying? When you started to break your case down and the facts, you said, no, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna fight this. How do we get them to that level of understanding, so you don't have so many people taking these plea deals for stuff that they really didn't do? It's that to me, that bothers me. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, again, a public defender is an attorney, still governed by the rules of professional conduct. And you can go to the Florida Rules of Professional Conduct and find out some of the basis of what an attorney should and should not do. And you can go to, and one thing that I also do quite a bit is I use YouTube, and I don't go find Greg Dawson necessarily. I go find attorney jackass in this area and listen to what he says about that particular area. And there's a lot of good attorneys as well. I'm not gonna say they're bad because again, I've consulted with attorneys, and I get the attorney. I try to gain the attorney's perspective, and then I go ahead and I implement who I am within that perspective. Because again, I'm not bound by the same set of rules.
Right.
I'm bound by the law, but when it comes to the confrontation, I'm not bound by the same set of rules, which may benefit or may not benefit you. But that being said, a public defender is an attorney. Okay. You just pay less for him, and sometimes you pay more for having to have one. That being said, when it comes, there's so many cases that are out there, and when you say these guys are taking deals that they shouldn't take, the facts of a case would determine what the outcome may be. What I would say is now anybody who hears this knows that there's a Greg and he has a homeboy named Leon. You know of a set of attorneys. We all know of attorneys. If you don't trust the attorneys, you better damn trust yourself and open up the damn book. That's what I'll tell them. The same way you can take the time to learn what this rapper is talking about, which is probably bullshit to begin with, or that guy because they're only entertaining you, you can go ahead and dedicate. Think about this. If you dedicate the same time it would take for you to listen to an album, for 1 week, that's an hour. That's 365 hours of legal study per year. That's probably less time than you would probably spend in some college classes, correct?
Right.
To master a particular course or subject area, or gain at least enough insight so that you can go back to utilize whatever it was that you studied. I can't play with the excuses in this era of information. I'm 53 years old. So, and I might be considered the spook who sat by the door because, and I've said this openly, even when my Facebook arguments with people, I don't want to hear your damn excuses. I got my formative education in goddamn Mississippi, Biloxi of all places. Biloxi, Mississippi, the poorest and most undereducated region in the freaking world. And I got to Biloxi in, I think, 74 or 75. So I'm on the back end of segregation. I went to Beauvoir Elementary, which is the plantation of the Confederates president, Jefferson Davis. And they weren't telling us that shit then. But I'm telling you, after going back and looking at it, I'm like, damn, Beauvoir. Oh, yeah, it's Jefferson Davis's plantation home. My school was on his plantation. Now, I had
plantation. Wow.
Yeah, Beauvoir. Look up Beauvoir. That's Jefferson Davis's. That's the president of the Confederacy. That's their home. So that was his home. So I've had benefits in life, and I appreciate them because I didn't carve the path necessarily as I was growing up. I was blessed to have a mom who picked that guy to be my dad, that good man to be my dad, and my parents were both determined to ensure that my brother and myself made it on the other side. So any screw ups are mine. Any of the great things I did was because of their guidance. I eat up all my screw ups. It ain't got nothing to do with my mom and dad. And my parents got divorced. And you know what they told me? Which is why when I look at this whole child support aspect, I didn't even know that it existed. But I asked them each to a person, because we were closing up on it, how is it that you and my dad, or you and my mom, managed to do this with Chris? And they both said to a person, and this is separate states and everything. When I asked them this, not even within the same time, the only thing that was important to us was you and Chris. We got divorced. That ain't got nothing to do with you and Chris. When my mom and my dad got divorced, and my mom joined the military, I think it was like 11 or 12. So my dad was already in. My dad ended up ranking out at E9, which is the highest you can get as an enlisted guy. He got 5 degrees while he was in. In fact, I'm the least educated of my immediate family members.
Oh wow.
He said the thing about his mom, and my mom, I have a lot more of her outward spirit because I said, God bless you. I couldn't have lived with my mom. Shit, that's why I joined the Army. But I appreciate the toughness that she gave. Right. My dad is the one that gave me the intellectual toughness because he came to the military when they wouldn't let black men even test to get promoted. In fact, the reason for anybody who's been in the military that they stopped allowing people to test with buddies was because they were saying that the black people who were starting to pass these tests must have been cheating, because all of a sudden, once they opened a promotion in the military evenly, blacks were getting promoted. And I told you this the other day. Listen to conversation of black men who played football during the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and early 70s in their conversation, and listen to it today. Why do guys who were probably truly denied educational opportunities, why are they more articulate and have a better grasp of the only language that most of us know? I'm not saying you can't get out there and speak the lingo. I ain't saying all that. My point is this: the only language that most of us know, some of us know multiple languages, is English. How do you not master that?
Right.
Even foreigners can come in and master English. They don't get the opportunity to learn anything that we can't get the opportunity to learn. It's choice. And I'm using yours. I'm guessing not many Europeans are on. Not that I care if they hear me on fucking way or the other, but the reality is some of these things are just feigned excuses for why we're not being successful. Even when it comes to some of these issues regarding young men being stopped and taking plea deals. Once you see that the barrel of that gun is pointed at you, you might want to find a way to get from the direct line of sight. And crying and whining and talking about my attorney this and my attorney that, man, you better open up a book. You better find out what were you charged with. What are the elements of that charge? Can they prove each and every essential element of that charge? Stealing your attorney's ass like a cheap suit. Hey, bro, have you checked on this? Hey, have you filed my suppression motion? Have you got my discovery? First thing is, where's my discovery?
Wow.
Okay, where's the police report? This didn't happen. Okay, now it's your word versus his word. Now, judges have discretion to take that, but now let's start breaking down the case. If anything is more important than your ass doing time in jail and smelling other dudes' farts, I don't know what the hell to say about you. Because candidly, a dude like me is gonna be banging your old lady while you up the road. That's the truth of it. And maybe that'll get his attention.
That's DJ Squid talking now.
but the reality of it is just that.
Right.
You're gonna go up the road. You know how many guys, and I'm gonna tell you this is why I'm probably so impassioned before we get to the Ronnie O'Neal thing. So many guys would come to me about going to jail. I'm like, dude, you know me about your driver's license? And you know what I do? Well, you know what I'm saying, bro. I just figure I'll just go ahead and do it. That's how I approached it. Dude, you know me. There are people who can physically, I'm not hard to contact. I answer, when you call me, didn't I answer my phone?
Yeah.
Okay. You call me, not just because I knew you, I just answered the phone.
Yeah, immediately.
And I tell people, so what's your excuse? Anybody listening to this stream now, whether they're naysayers, believers or not, at this point, anybody in their circle, even if they don't think that I know what I'm talking about, now have the knowledge that I exist, correct?
Absolutely. The website real quick is gregdoss.com. Once again, gregdoss.com. I put the question up on the screen because we taking in all this great information and you breaking it down, and I agree, and I see the fighter in you, and I see the basic thing that you're saying is you gotta, this is what I'm getting from you. You gotta take control, and you have the ability to take control. So just do it. But I want you to answer this question right here. This is a valid question.
It's actually a statement. It's not a question.
Well, can you address the statement? What do you think?
Yes. For those who don't see Operation Exodus Mississippi campaign, what's up, Exodus Mississippi? I don't blame what part of Mississippi. I went to Fernwood in Mississippi. Fact, played against T-Buck and Shane Matthews when I was in middle school at Fernwood. You can avoid a plea deal and gamble with a jury, then they convict you to worse. So I'm guessing he's saying you can choose not to take a plea deal and gamble with the jury and convict you to worse. No, whatever the guidelines are the guidelines. Are you saying that if they tell you if you go take this to trial and the jury convicts you, the judge gives you worse, and that becomes a coercive plea? Not that I'm giving you any legal advice, look it up yourself.
Well, I think what he's saying, and I might be wrong. Let me just
no, ask him. I don't want to interpret what he's saying. I'm looking at what he wrote.
Right. I know Operation Exodus Mississippi. So I don't think he'll mind. I think what he's saying, I understand, is some people are so afraid to gamble with going to trial and getting. I've heard people tell me this, because they were facing, I don't know, 40 years or whatever the case may be, and they said, no, I don't want to do that. Even though I'm not guilty of this, I'm gonna take this plea deal so I can go home. What do you think about that? Do you think that
if he's facing 40 years, there's no plea deal that's going to send you home?
Right.
Not immediately. You go home eventually, hopefully, but not immediately. And again, what are all the facts associated with your case? And by the way, not only do you have to be honest with, because you ain't gotta be. If you call me, the first thing I'm gonna tell you is, like I told you, what? Tell me the damn truth. I'm not gonna go around and tell nobody else. That's why I say let's meet in person.
Mm-hmm.
You're not privileged with me, but I'll tell everybody. Don't tell me to talk to me, because once you talk to me, your privilege with an attorney that you have is now broken.
Mm-hmm.
But my point to you is this: I can only tell you what I think, but the reality is, people who take a plea deal on something they didn't do out of fear, they are still making a conscious decision in most cases.
That is true.
So, the language of law is a little different, but it's pretty much the same. I used to hear that too until I started breaking it, until I started doing the reading. It's kind of like people calling people Uncle Toms. And I say, well, maybe you didn't read the book, because most guys that they call Uncle Toms aren't Uncle Toms, they're Sambos. But here beats your Stober. But anyway, the point is, there's no excuse once you're behind it. There's no excuse once you're under the gun. You have to make a choice at that point. That's it. It's like playing quarterback. If you have a 3-step drop and the ball's supposed to come out at 3, and at the 3rd step the ball ain't out and you get sacked, you can tell everything that you thought. But once I go look at the film, I'm like, well, damn, the strong side slant was there. You just should have cut the damn ball loose. They gave you the look. It's the same thing with this. Okay, you got a chance to make a choice. And by the way, everybody who took a plea deal knows the truth.
That's true.
I know it is.
No, it's just rhetorical thinking here. And what do you think about post convictions? I think that's what they call it, after the person
post conviction relief. You mean like a 3800 or 3850 motion? I think they can be pursued, but again, the facts of your particular case are going to matter. And by the way, what your attorney raises at trial is very important. What your attorney raises pre-trial is important as to whether or not you're going to have any legal basis or grounds for appellate review or appellate relief.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another reason why you need to know what the hell is going on in your case, right? Mm-hmm. Because if your attorney misses something, when you're going to say, well, I had ineffective assistance of counsel, I'm going to ask for this rate to be reviewed, you need to make sure that it came up then.
Right.
Now, you may be able to find it, which goes to explain, as you and I discussed off air, why so many guys who go to prison are able to beat their cases in prison. Well, one, they got time to focus.
Exactly.
And two, they're probably tired of me. And two, they're probably tired of me answering the phone when they call home.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. They call
that goes to show what you're saying. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm just piggyback off of what you're saying earlier, that you can learn this, because those same guys, if they was out on the street, they probably would have been like, I don't want to be bothered with that. This is too difficult. I got other things to do. But as soon as they get behind the prison walls, it completely changes up. So that lets you know right there that you can do that. Like you said, once you get under that gun and you literally have no choice. It's like, okay, sink or swim. So, that makes sense.
Again, but we choose to swim when people choose to swim if Greg is answering their phone, right? I might even pay your damn bill while you're there.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that.
and I may be, I'm being a little facetious with it, but I'm being honest too, because cats know another dude will answer your phone. I've told people who are close to me, you can't handcuff no guts from prison, bro. You're gonna have to spend time trying to protect your own. That's the reality. That's as basic as it can be. And to answer your questions of what you can tell these young men is, one, you can stop coddling so many of them. You can't be street hard in court, bitch. I mean, well, excuse my language. And I've seen this. I've seen cats come in like, damn, I bet you that joker could really just truly undress a motherfucker on the football field. And I'm sitting behind him and I can barely hear him speaking. I'm like, well, damn, dude. Outside here, I wish these motherfuckers would, bro. And they go in here and they just turn it straight jello. And I'm like, damn, what am I witnessing? What has happened to us that has caused men to be afraid to be men? Hey, there's an old thing when I was in the military. Hey, I walked in this motherfucker, man, I'm gonna leave it a man. Even if I go back in a box, I'm gonna leave as a man. And I've made it even clear in my court cases. If you think I'm willing to fight and die for this country, but won't fight and die for me, you're very wrong either way. Now, I ain't going in there to shoot the place and none of that, but, candidly, I'm kind of offended when they think they're smarter than me anyway, because that goes against nature. Niggas didn't build pyramids, we did.
Right.
The birthplace of civilization didn't come from no niggas, it came from us.
Right, absolutely. So let me ask you a question then, because this is kind of coming up. This is coming up in the chat. I'm
not really following the chats as much. I'm looking at what you put up here in front of me.
Yeah, I'm getting the questions that I'm posting. I'm getting those directly from the chat, and I'm posting them because I can
see whether you're correct. You have to study the rules of the court you're in, and also find case law applicable to your situation.
Okay, I wanted to ask you this question here. I'm trying to find what this brother's comment. What if you do all of this? You do everything you're saying, and you fight valiantly, and you're actually innocent, and you lose. What do you tell a person to do in that situation?
Appeal.
Okay.
Because it's like this. I'm not going to say that a person who's innocent can't be unjustly convicted any more than I can say that a person who I may have thought was guilty was legally exonerated, OJ. But OJ didn't get off because OJ was not exonerated because no proof showed that he committed the crime. He was exonerated because they attempted to frame a guilty man, and all the information that you gathered trying to frame the guilty man had to be thrown out so the jury could not consider it. Right? There you go. When you're black and poor, when you're poor and black, or you mean if you're poor or black, if you're poor and black, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. A public defender can only do so much, and others charge outrageous prices. What's your freedom worth? Yeah. What's the price of freedom? I had friends of mine come back in a box defending the principles that I do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and obey the lawful orders of the President of the United States and the officers appointed above me in accordance with the Uniform Court of Military Justice, so help me God. I watched his mom cry over his flag draped coffin. I did funeral detail. And do you think I was really thinking about that damn piece of paper, or do you think I was thinking about there ain't no reset on life?
Right.
I tell young brothers about to join the military, hey, bro, this ain't Call of Duty. Them bullets are real.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I was fortunate not to have been in any situation that I couldn't get out of. But the reality is you should fight for your freedom in a courtroom the same way you fight to prove how right you are about some shit that don't matter.
Right. I agree. We kind of went over our time here a little bit. It's 2:14. I was planning on ending at 2, but this has been a really, really powerful discussion. I want to say thank you very much for taking the time to come on here and share. I'm kind of a person that learns stuff step by step, and so what I gathered from you is for those people that want to get started on whether it be in the criminal, whether it be child support. First thing you need to do, read the Constitution, read your state's Constitution, figure out which research mechanism you want to use and learn it and get familiar with it. And then learn how to go the writing as far as the complaints and that kind of thing. You can Google the different cases and it'll show you how you can write your complaints and that kind of thing. So that's what I gathered. Everybody else, might take away something different, but I think it's an excellent starting point. So in closing, I want you to once again, or I don't think you've actually done this in detail yet, let the people know what services you provide and where they can contact you. And if you could just speak a little bit about, I think you're supposed to be having some of your court cases uploaded onto your channel and tell people where they can.
We do that to me. So in other words, since I've been kind of slow and doing it myself, she just threw me up under the bus.
I had to throw it out there.
Yeah, you want to try to give me a little motivation and inspiration.
Yeah.
Listen, if anyone wants to contact me, you can go to my website, gregdoss.com, and there's a place where you can put in your information. If you want to get a consultation, and my services are provided on my site as well. I think you go to where it says shop and just pick a service. I do give consults, and there's a list of other services that we do provide. The services there, go up there, we do all that. And then also where it says shop, you'll see that as well. My CashApp information is there. There we go. I think it's all in there. Yeah, I didn't really do a lot of this, so it's all right there. The things that we can get. And where you see it says Dropbox, and the Dropbox of receipts, inside that Dropbox of receipts, and some folks like Rashida think it's just too much work to go and get into the Dropbox, but you can actually hear live audio of me in these courtroom proceedings, to include the perjury case, and you'll see how it begins, how it ends. You'll see it all. You'll see some of the documents I filed. I mean, I've done hundreds of them, but you can see that some of the documents I used and utilized in my court proceedings. You'll see the dockets, which step-by-step detail over the many years of what I went through, because hell, it's public record anyway. So if you want to contact me or you want to find a little bit more about that, I know somebody else who may be interested in my services, you can have them contact me again at gregdoss.com. And keep in mind that attorney, I don't practice law. My disclaimer is all over the site. And listen, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. If I can do it, I believe anyone who's so desiring can do it. And I would have you listen to some of the guys that I've helped get time sharing with their children, even get custody. And without having to prove the mom was screwed up, because that's just not the direction that I move. You don't have to show that she's so screwed up in order to get what rights are yours. And the basis of everything we do is we try to find your legal solution or your lawful solution to your problem. And the law belongs to the people. And even Article 161 of the Florida Constitution is clear, and it says all political powers inherent to the people, right? And you've seen me and heard me give dissertations even to people within the court houses, Rashida, as to how the law is. They don't tell me what to do, I tell them what to do. They talk.
Right. It is you just said they don't tell you what to do, you tell them what to do. You got to switch. You got to empower your brain and your mind to flip to that.
Well, most guys, if you've had the opportunity to play sports, it's the same thing. I tell people all the time, you don't really find out a guy can fight until you put your hands on him. A real fighter.
That's true.
Because a real fighter don't have to tell you he can fight. He doesn't even bring it up. And most times when you're talking to an athlete, I play football, and I used to try to tell my kids, you don't see football players just running into people on the streets just in general. But there's a switch, a fundamental switch once they hit that competitive arena. Because I'm here to win. And that's the same thing that you learn in the courtroom. And we do male counseling or male coaching. I think it's somewhere. Go down there. You think you see a lion down there somewhere?
Okay.
Somewhere, but I kind of probably limit to a few things. Shadowing, child third-party assistance. There's something else in there. Oh, platinum. Maybe it's the platinum service. I don't know. It's one of those things where we help guys build confidence.
That's what's needed. Yep.
And a lot of this, and they look at the prices, but I have athletes that call me, professional athletes. And candidly, I would much rather help people. And then we can barter, we can work on anything, as you already know. I'm about getting my people, helping my people gain their own resolution to their situations. But again, I'm not a doctor. I can't open your chest if I'm not Mr. Charles. Well, Drew did the transfusions, but I can't give you no open heart surgery. I can't do all that. And I'm not going to even try to convince you.
Yeah, I just want to encourage people. You really need to go to Greg's website, because this information here, in terms of just looking at the services you provide, is unique and it's invaluable. And what's the thing that really gets me about you is the results that you have been able to prove, and you can show what you've done, the cases that I wish we had more time to go into that. But one thing I did want to ask you, this was like a burning question. If you had some key words in terms that people should know going in, could you just give us a few of those keywords in terms that they should know starting out?
How many you want to do?
However many you want to give us, because I know it's 2:20 now.
All right, due process of law.
Okay.
Fundamental rights. Go down and go strict scrutiny.
Okay. Down. I hope y'all writing this down.
Jurisdiction, and not what people think it might be, but learn what the real meaning of jurisdiction, whether it's personal subject matter and or case jurisdiction, especially in the state of Florida. Shoot, man, those are enough for right now, but definitely understanding due process of law. Also equal protection of the law. Okay. Understand the difference between common law and legislation. Because I talked to you. I want to say this thing about. I want to make sure I get that Ronnie O'Neill part. So I may need 2 minutes about that. And also people who are crying about reparations when you don't vote, which is going back to more of a civics issue. But when you read the first article of the United States Constitution, you will have a much clearer understanding as to how silly some of these conversations really are. Misdemeanor versus felony. I think that, off the top of my head, that's about it for right now. But
okay, one last question here.
Forensic criminal law.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What I know about it? I mean, I have an understanding. It's kind of a broad question. I know a little bit about how it works, how it's supposed to work in theory, but again, it's the case, and then what are the facts of that case? And when you get into that, that's part of discovery. And it's also part of your right to adequate due process is if you request these things. Well, because there's forensic criminal law for white collar crimes. There's forensic criminal law as it relates to a whole lot of other things, even regular crimes. It just depends on there's gross and willful wanton misconduct that could inspire the usage of that. So you start getting into a whole lot of different areas. And I want to make sure I'm clear again that some things you can't just stick into a small capsule. Right. It's as bad as we won't want to. As to this thing with Ronnie O'Neill, and I know we've actually gone over time, and I appreciate this, that you give me the opportunity to give people hopefully some motivation to do some things on their own. Ronnie O'Neill is not an example of our men in our community, and he's not an example of what a well-studied, self-represented litigant should be. But if you pay attention, that guy got a lot of national exposure because he is what they will use, and I say they, meaning call it what you feeling what they could be. He's what's utilized as an example of what we are. But within that very same courthouse, on that very same floor that he was duly convicted on, I was in there yesterday. You were on the phone with me. And within that very same courthouse, I went through what I went through in front of these people who are claimed to be honorable in many cases. I'm dealing with situations in there now. Right. You'll never see me on their television screen like that. They won't work that hard. If I get there, it'll be through some other process. And it's always been said that publicity is the soul of justice. So keep those things in mind. And always remember this, people. It's well been said that he who will not reason is a bigot, he who dares not reason is a fool, and he who fears reasoning is a slave. Figure out which one of those lanes you fall into, and go with it from there. Appreciate the time. GregDawson.com, 813-570-9617. 813-397-9350.
All right. Well, thank you. Oh, I got hey, Mahogany Roots and MJ. You said, hi, honey, you doing great. I didn't know you was here. She's you know what? I know I gotta go, but you can, if you get a moment. I know you're a very busy man, but Mahogany Roots and MJ, I don't think she minds me sharing her story. She did an interview with me about her brother being killed in a very it's been unsolved. And she
State?
that is it South Carolina or North Carolina, Mahogany? Which one is it? There she go right there. What is it? South. There she go. Make sure you subscribe to her channel.
South Carolina.
South Carolina. There we go. Okay. And it's sister here.
Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott area. Okay.
Yeah, she's a wonderful person, a kind person. I'm like, I think with my heart a lot. I be wanting to see people get justice. So that's something that's you just popped up on here. I was about to end. I'm glad to see you. I want to see this sister. I want her brother's murder to be solved. And
I don't know about doing that part.
Yeah.
That's
well, I'm just throwing that out there.
If I can help her, just reach out to me and we'll see what we can do.
All right, sounds good.
That's usually the other side of things.
Yeah. You sweet too. I'm glad you're on here, sister. And our brother Greg Doss, his website once again before we leave is Greg Doss. I'm gonna put it on the screen again. Greg.
Real simple.
Okay, GregDoss.com. So I want to thank you for coming on here and giving out this information. It was really, really beneficial. Thank you so much. Y'all know what to do. Y'all make sure y'all contact Greg. He also has a YouTube channel. You need to go subscribe. I know you ain't really talk about that, but please go subscribe to his YouTube channel.
Hey, they're gonna see probably a couple of places where Squid is, but that's definitely who I am. And I was intentionally trying to give them a little bit of both. People who followed the show with the Greg Doss show, the DJ Squid show, who know me through the Man Mindset, Steve the Dean Williams, and some of the other areas will know that Squid's a little bit more curt and to the point. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. And whether it's Greg or Squid, information is information.
I know I keep dragging. I gotta get I'm pulling up your I am pulling up. Do you mind if I pull up your YouTube channel?
I must not mind. There's a YouTube channel, so it's not like you can put it out there and get it.
Making sure. I'm just making sure. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm about to share the screen one more time. Guys, make sure you go and subscribe to Greg's YouTube channel, as well as obviously you know the website. So this is Greg's YouTube channel. Make sure y'all go and subscribe.
Hey, go up to the top. See that guy on the far left where it says the Squid interview with Ikemba, the credit man, Will Crowley?
Yes,
for those of you people who talk about the UCCs and all these things, and I do have a pretty good background with that. I tend not to go as far as a lot of discussion with it. That's a great interview right there. And of course, you can see me on the Man Mindset, Dean. But that interview with Will is very informative for those who want to swear that they know what they're doing within the world of discharging debt and negotiable instruments. Mm-hmm. I learned quite a bit from him. He probably kept me from hopping into everything feet first, just jumping into a swimming pool without making sure that there's water in it. Okay, so but again, no problem. You can go it's pretty easy. I'm Greg Doss. I'm also DJ Squid. All
right, so I'm putting your YouTube channel in the chat box right now. And I thought I had put it in the description to this live, but when I'm done, I'm gonna go back and make sure I put it in the description to this live. But that's
they can see behind me. I had my shirt and tie. I don't know if he's gonna make me put it on, but I don't see that.
Listen, I don't think I can make you do anything. Okay.
No, I was gonna make sure I accommodated you because really I'm uncomfortable with this right here on. I was gonna come in here like for those who don't know. I walk into the courtroom not necessarily with a shirt and tie on, and I walk in more so like I'm most comfortable with just my t-shirt on and and my flip flops. So now I get to take this foolishness off. And I do look good in the suits, but I do this because I want them to not know who they may be pulling over. They may think they know who the guy is, and I don't have my cap on today, but my hat.
Oh, we're gonna get it. I'm looking.
Yeah.
I
I normally walk around because I want them to think, well, he has to be like everybody else, and then you open your mouth and like, oh shit,
right.
Oh no, I got you now.
All right.
Let's go to work.
All right. Well, we're gonna end on that note, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure, like I said, go subscribe. I got Greg's channel in my description now, and go to the website gregdoss.com. Once again, gregdoss.com. And y'all have a wonderful day. That is
some chicken grease. We're out of here.
all right. Bye, y'all. Okay.